That was what he tried to get through the script writing team, urging them that it was an unnecessary pivot. Of course, some people would suggest that Luke had signed onto an uber-sexualized show when he did, and should have seen any pivots happening. His co-stars were less than pleased with the circumstances of his departure, but that's just showbiz. Matthew wanting to read a final script before pasting his name on anything might not entirely have been to gauge at his character's sexual preferences, but it was probably to get a sense of what was going to happen in the show. By the way, this was back when the spin-off was titled 2024 and was supposed to be a continuation of the parent series. Based on the fact that it's gone through a title change and a plot overhaul, it'd be fair to say that no one could get Matthew the script he was asking for. It wasn't because they didn't try to, though. It's been reported that everyone was so keen to have the actor on board, including himself, that they tried to get him into the scriptwriter's room to work out the storyline for the spin-off. That was a pretty big move, but it was still less than what Matthew wanted. Sure, he didn't mind the creative process, but he was more interested in the finished result. That was something the team couldn't give him. Now, Matthew's not an unfair guy. It's not like he walked into Paramount Studios one day and demanded to see the final script or else. He knew that the process took time, and he was willing to give the scriptwriters the time that they asked for, within reason, of course. Allegedly, Matthew was given a deadline on when the script would be delivered, and he agreed to it. In the meanwhile, he turned down other projects and directors who were trying to get him on board for their shows and movies. One deadline turned into another, and so on and so on. Eventually, with no end in sight, Matthew decided it was best to just walk away from the project. As far as why the script was delayed so much is concerned, you have to remember that the team had more pressing matters to attend to, namely, rewriting an entire final season after the star of the show walked out. That's right, while they desperately wanted Matthew to star in a Yellowstone spin-off, they were more keen on finishing what they'd already started, and that was Yellowstone. This was probably what the first deadline entailed, which we can all be sure Matthew agreed to. But then other things happened, namely the writer's strike. When the strike happened, it pushed back all Hollywood productions to at least a year, Yellowstone included. Normally we'd get one season a year, but the final season was delayed over 2 years. Costner's exit played a part in it, and the strike played another. In the middle of it all, despite Matthew's star power, he just wasn't their primary concern. Sheesh. So the star waited and waited until he realized he just couldn't wait any longer. Now, for anyone who's heartbroken over the fact Matthew McConaughey won't be in the Yellowstone franchise, don't cry just yet. While he's definitely not going to be a part of the Madison, there's still some hope that he will be a part of Yellowstone. Maybe even the 6th season. Season 6 of Yellowstone might still happen. Is Season 5 the end? Will there be a 6th season? Your guess is as good as anyone else's right now. Kevin Costner's exit from the show caused a ripple effect, and we're all still trying to reel in from it. First, we were told that the star of the show we so dearly loved had just walked away from it. Then we were told that the entire script would be rewritten in a way that the second half of Season 5 would mark the end of Yellowstone entirely. And now we're being told that there might just be a 6th season after all? What's going on? First, let's talk about why Taylor decided to end the show with Season 5, or why he initially thought that was a good idea. You have to agree that while the entire cast of Yellowstone has established fan bases in their own right, Kevin Costner was the star of the show. He might not have carried the show because of how well the Dutton kids carried their parts, but he was the ultimate lead. Every major plot of the show connected back to him in some way or another. He was the head of the Dutton family, and that's just the way it was. So when he announced that he would be leaving the show, Taylor had two options: a new John Dutton or ending the show as it was. The first option meant that either someone else would play the role and fans would have to get used to the casting change, or he would get someone like Matthew McConaughey on board to play the new lead. A couple of things wrong with both solutions. As far as a new John Dutton was concerned, come on, really? Kevin Costner was John Dutton, and no other actor could ever try. Then, as far as casting a new lead was concerned, Taylor would have to bring it back somehow to the Duttons because it was a show about the family. This new lead would then have to find a way to adapt as their long-lost relative or something. It's just as convoluted as it seems, and Taylor didn't want to sully the legacy of a great show with an unnecessary pivot, which is another reason why he was content with ending the show with Season 5 even though he planned an additional 2 seasons. This was the only plausible solution to maintaining the legacy of a great show that he'd created. Had he gone with a pivot in one way or another, it would have caused an uproar in the fandom. Sure, some people would have loved him for continuing the show, but others would have been critical of him for kicking a dead horse. But wait, new reports indicate there is going to be a Season 6 after all. Which way did Taylor lean? Neither. He actually did something none of us thought, but which makes perfect sense in hindsight. The Dutton kids take the lead. Reportedly, Kelly Riley, Cole Hauser, and Luke Grimes are sitting at the negotiations table with Paramount as we speak. The Dutton kids and Rip are working out the details on Season 6, and paychecks are causing an issue. So while the Dutton kids and Rip were stars in their own rights, Kevin was the only one who walked away with $1 million per episode at the end of the night. Cole was paid a little more than half of it, Kelly was paid somewhere around $500,000, and Luke made somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000 an episode. The numbers vary, but it was clear that they weren't being paid as much as Costner. Now, there are some rumors that suggest the Dutton kids and Rip got a pay bump for the finale because of Costner's exit and the amount of money Paramount now had lying around. So, what seems to be the problem? Here's the thing. Now they're established characters in the Yellowstone universe, and you need them to make Season 6. It's also time to rework their contract, and the Dutton kids and Rip think they're owed a lot more for the new final season. Reports suggest that all 3 of them have asked for $1 million, and that's something Paramount isn't coming to terms with. They want a Season 6 to happen, and they want the established characters to be a part of it. What's the point otherwise? But they don't want to shell out millions for 3 actors. Or, well, 4 if you count in Matthew McConaughey. That's right, a glimmer of hope for anyone who wanted to see Matthew take on Yellowstone. There's a chance he might still be a part of the show in the alleged 6th season. It's also been rumored that his season would then kick off his spin-off series, the one he's been waiting to read a script of for 2 years now. This is all alleged, by the way. All we know for sure is that Paramount thought a 6th season would be a great idea, and the actors agreed. But with more money, it'd be an even better idea. This is where they clashed, but some reports suggested that the actors and the studio have met in the middle somewhere and agreed to getting things rolling. Matthew's role in the whole thing has been kept under wraps for now, but maybe it's because the studio doesn't want to jinx it again like they did the first time around. In any event, if a 6th season does happen, the show would need a new lead. If it's not Beth, Rip, or Casey, it would have to be a new character, and that would probably be Matthew McConaughey. Are you excited to see what happens next in Yellowstone? We are too! Let us know your fan theories in the comments, give this video a big thumbs up, and we'll see you back soon for another video!